If you think Wolverine or the new God of War is my #1 game from last night's State of Play, you're wrong. Don't get me wrong, they look incredible, but my top pick is probably a massive surprise for most of you. If you want to know which games from the showcase are actually worth your time, the real gems you need to keep on your radar, and the ones you should definitely be playing, this is the list. So let's drop straight into my top 5 games from the PlayStation State of Play, starting with number 5, Stuntman Hollywood. This looks like an absolute blast. When the trailer first started playing, I genuinely thought it was a new Fast and the Furious game. You see Brian and Dom's iconic orange Supra from the first movie hammering along, and then you see a Lamborghini which I think is from Miami Vice or something like that. Heck, the DeLorean shows up from Back to the Future, and even before that, which completely blew my mind, Kit from Knight Rider is in the game. That right there makes it a day one buy for me anyway. A game that doesn't take itself seriously and just focuses on doing fun stunts just looks like an absolute blast. I can't believe a game like this is actually being made in 2026. I feel like the world is healing a little bit. I genuinely thought games like this were becoming a bit of a lost art form. I grew up loving these kind of games because they aren't really time intensive. You can just pick this up for 10 minutes or half an hour and have an absolute blast, which is exactly what I think a lot of games are missing nowadays. Instead of everything just trying to be like a 100-hour epic, you just jump in and have a blast. They showed actual gameplay footage at the end of the trailer too, and we even got a little sneak peek of Brian's skyline from Too Fast Too Furious, which was awesome. It just looks fun, and that is the big thing for me. Gaming is all about having fun. More arcade games like this, yes please developers, I'll be buying them all. This will be an absolute blast on the PS5, the PS5 Pro, and especially on the Portal. It looks really, really good. Now, that was just an announcement trailer, so we don't know exactly when this is going to be arriving. At the end, it just says coming soon, and you can wishlist it now. But the description says speed, pressure, and spectacle collide as you take on iconic moments inspired by TV and movie racing greats. As a stunt driver, each film is split into episodes, and each episode is a unique level with its own vehicle and specific gameplay twists. From one episode to the next, the environment, pace, objectives, and all the scenes change. Every film feels completely fresh and stylish. Precise driving and confident stunt work are rewarded handsomely. But one thing, being Mr. Physical Gamer as I am, I'll be buying a physical copy of this on disc. You better believe in a couple of years this game will be getting delisted from digital storefronts with all these licenses in the game. So just a word of warning, keep that in mind people, buy yourself a physical copy of this so there's plenty of them in circulation. Then if this gets delisted in the future and you've not bought it already, I'm sure you'll be able to pick up a physical copy on eBay. See? Now, number 4 is Ace Combat 8 Wings of Theve. It just looks like a total blast. It's so good to see Bandai Namco back, and you know, I always think of them as Namco because that's what it was when I grew up, but it's great to see them going back to the well with their existing franchises, which honestly gives me hope that we might see a new Ridge Racer someday. Please Namco, that would be nice. The trailer was all captured on PlayStation 5 and the footage looks spectacular. It looks really, really beautiful. If you've ever played any of the Ace Combat games back in the day, you'll know exactly what to expect here. You get a fun campaign to play through, tons of dogfights and big battles, but this one looks like it's just, you know, taking it up a notch as the trailer kicks off with what looks like a giant aircraft carrier or like battle cruiser boat, but you realise that the boat is actually on land. It's basically a giant tank. Seeing a boat on land is just absolutely wild, and I just love stuff like that. It's over the top, fun gameplay, not like a strict simulator like Microsoft Flight Simulator where you have to worry about, you know, real world logistics and which switch to turn on and off to get the plane to actually take off and reading a big manual just to actually start the engine. This will be much more forgiving, much more pick up and play, where it's a lot easier to fly your plane, get into dogfights, shoot some bad guys and blow up some targets on the ground. The dogfights look really intense and the weather effects look great as well. You'll get lots of little teasers of the campaign story also in this trailer we saw, which I'm really excited to dive into. Like I said when I reacted to this live on stream, Ace Combat 7 is often on sale. It's a PS4 game obviously, on the PlayStation Store, so make sure you pick that up. I think I bought it for like £7 or something, and I've just not got around to playing it yet, so I can't wait to play that one. Another one on my backlog, which never stops growing. I genuinely hope and think Ace Combat 8 could be a bit of a sleeper hit. I hope it is, because I just want to see more games that are a bit different like this, you know, instead of every second game being a Souls-like game. It also makes me wonder if we could see a PSVR 2 mode added to this at some point, you know, or announced at a later date. Who knows? That would be really cool for PSVR 2 owners. The release date for this is October the 2nd, 2026, so there's not too long to go. Plus, if you pre-order the game, there's a pre-order bonus that gives you another game included, which is Ace Combat Zero: The Belkan War. That's a PlayStation 2 game from 2006. I was going to say 2026. 2006, developed and published back when they were just Namco, you know, the good old days. And it had pretty positive reviews. It's got a 75 out of 100 on Metacritic. I'm totally down for getting my hands on that as well. If you're going to pick up the game, get the pre-order and get 2 of them for the price of 1. Sounds good. Before we hit the top 3 games, I have to do a quick honourable mention to Until Dawn 2. This was also announced at the State of Play, and it's obviously the sequel to the classic horror game Until Dawn. It looks really good fun, and it looks like you're in complete charge of all the cast, and they can all live or they can all die depending on your actions, so no pressure. It does look a lot of fun though. It didn't make the cut for the top 5, but it was very close. I wanted to mention this because there was so many horror games in this showcase, and I'm not a big horror fan, as you know. I'm a big scaredy cat. I usually skip them entirely, apart from, you know, classic stuff like Resident Evil. But this one didn't look too scary and it looks good fun, so I think I could actually enjoy it, and I think a lot of you would enjoy it too, so it's worth mentioning here. It just missed out, but it's definitely worth talking about because it looks like a brilliant interactive popcorn movie type game, and I do actually quite enjoy these interactive, you know, movie type video games, as they are very, very chilled. If you just want to chill out, but you don't want to chill out so much that you're just watching a movie, you want to actually take part in it, this looks like it'd be good fun. Number 3 is where things probably get a bit controversial, because one of the absolute biggest reveals of the entire night is sitting right here. God of War Laufey. I think I was saying that right. If not, let me know in the comments. This is basically God of War with Kratos' wife, Laufey, or Faye as she's known, in the lead role. It's the next chapter in the legendary God of War franchise, where death was supposed to be the end, but for Faye, not so fast. The warrior and the wife of Kratos, she's got a new adventure which is just beginning. To save the ones she loves, Faye must fight through the afterlife of the gods in a land overflowing with dangerous magic. The footage here looks truly spectacular. Whether the footage here for this gameplay is PS5 or PS5 Pro, I'm really not sure. They didn't really tell us. But if you thought the older God of War games looked good, which they do, this looks even better. I think the reason for that is because, you know, this is not a cross-gen game. This is only coming to PlayStation 5 systems. So the PS5 and the PS5 Pro, this thing is just going to look spectacular. You know, they're not worrying about trying to get a PlayStation 4 version out there or anything like that. I'm assuming this footage might be the PlayStation 5 Pro because the hair effects on Faye are just absolutely spectacular. The hair is just flowing on her head and it looked spectacular. There was no shimmering or anything like that. The combat looked really fast paced, smooth and slick, with a lot of aerial combat combos, which kind of reminded me of Marvel Spider-Man, you know, the way you're fighting and juggling enemies in the air. She's fighting with a sword and she's got magical powers as well. It looks really, really good, and I'm really excited about this one. I think this will potentially be another masterpiece for Sony, and it's cool to see them branching out and getting Faye in the lead role here to expand the God of War universe. That is never a bad thing because these are all incredible games. Watching this, it wasn't even, a trailer, it was over 20 minutes of unedited gameplay we were watching, and I just felt like I was watching a movie. I could have watched this all night. It was so engrossing. It was also quite entertaining because I know a lot of it is kind of dark and serious, but there is a talking jelly cube that shows up called Frank. Yes, there actually is. I'm not making this up. It's not spelled how you would think Frank is. It's spelled some really weird way, but it's there anyway, and it talks, and it helps you fight in battles as well, which is really cool. It even gives you a cool sword, which is talking as well. So I think they're going to be pretty big characters in this, a talking sword and a talking jelly cube. Yep. It looks good, people. I'm all for this, After all, I always say it, gaming is about fun, and this looks fun. The big boss battle at the end of the gameplay footage just looked like vintage God of War. Going between your real-time combat to cinematic parts spliced in between, it just looked spectacular. It really did. Santa Monica Studios are on a roll with the God of War universe, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I know some people are commenting saying it's not God of War without Kratos, but I think this looks great and I am all for it. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, so make sure you sound off in the comments. I'll be responding to absolutely all of them. And by the way, if you're planning on pre-ordering any of these games from the PlayStation Store, make sure you use my cheap wallet top-up, links down below in the description. It lets you top up your PlayStation Wallet to grab these games cheaper, and you can use them to buy PlayStation Plus cheaper too. It'll save you a whole bunch of money just by using our links down below. Now, we got an extended look at Marvel's Wolverine, so more gameplay here, which is next on my list at number 2. And wow, every time I see this, I just want to play it more and more. Insomniac Games clearly know what they're doing. Any worries we had about whether this would be an R-rated, all guts and glory Wolverine game are completely gone. It absolutely is. People were thinking that because the Spider-Man games they made were much more PG and had, no blood or anything, that Wolverine might be the same, but that's not a worry here. There is absolutely bucket loads of blood in this game. It is absolutely brutal. When the trailer opens up, even the detail on the hair on Logan's shoulders is just incredible. Then he jumps down and starts going to town on everybody in sight with his adamantium blades. It looks fantastic. Even the small details like him taking damage and his flesh regrowing looks amazing. It looks like there are ray traced reflections on the water when he's walking through, making it a spectacular looking game. We still have some questions like how open world will this be? With Spider-Man you could swing around the whole of New York City, so will this be much more of a curated journey where it's a lot more linear as you go through the story? Honestly, that's completely fine by me because it looks fantastic. Let's get real, in this modern day and age and getting older, time is of the essence. I don't have the time I used to have to play a game all day every day, so I'm happy if I get a great, fantastic game that I can actually play through and finish. In terms of combat, it looks like they've completely nailed it. It looks absolutely brutal and beautiful at the same time in a weird way. Insomniac Games have just not missed a beat. They are such a good studio, from Ratchet and Clank to Spider-Man to Wolverine. This just gets me excited for the future of Marvel games on PlayStation because it looks like it's opening the door maybe for a bigger X-Men universe. Jean Grey shows up in the trailer and starts kicking ass, and we also get a little teaser of Mystique. This could easily lead up to a full-on X-Men game. Imagine an R-rated X-Men game like this, or crossovers with Spider-Man, or an Avengers type, mix-up game. That would be cool. Who knows what could happen, but everything is looking top-notch. This will be a day one purchase for me for sure. Some of the combat detail is spectacular with him using his environment as well to smash people through windows, bang their heads off bricks and throw them into wooden crates. I'm pretty sure at one point a guy even gets impaled on a forklift. It's just, wow, it's just incredible. I never thought we would see this from Insomniac Games, but here we are. There's just so much going on. If you watch closely, they've done a really cool effect where he gets, he's covered in blood obviously when he attacks someone, and then it just gradually, stealthily fades away so he's clean again, which is pretty cool, meaning he's not walking around drenched in blood the whole game. I'm intrigued to see if we can play as any of the other X-Men characters like Jean Grey or Mystique, or if they're just in the story alongside us. Either way, everything looks like a 10 out of 10 game so far. There's an awesome scene where he's on his motorbike chasing down bad guys on trucks, and it looks like this is going to become one of those, mascot type games for PlayStation going forward. The same way Spider-Man has been for so long. I played the first Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I actually preferred Miles Morales. I think I just like him as a Spider-Man better and his powers and stuff like that. I loved that game, and I haven't finished Spider-Man 2 yet, but I am all for Wolverine. This looks amazing. We're in safe hands here, people. This is a brutal, violent, action-packed single-player adventure game. And I'm all about single player games these days, so I'm very happy. I can't be bothered with multiplayer games really. Now this game was almost my top pick, it really was. Let me know in the comments if you're picking this up day one. And what system will you be playing on? I'll definitely be playing this on my PS5 Pro setup when I'm at it and grinding through other parts on my PlayStation Portal. Now my number one pick might be controversial, but as someone who grew up with a PlayStation 1 as a kid, one of the mascots of that system and one of the games I had back in the day was Tomb Raider. So I had Tomb Raider 2, my brother-in-law had Tomb Raider 1. I remember vividly the first time ever playing it, seeing the dinosaur and Lara backflipping and shooting the guns. I was just like, mind-boggling stuff. I can't explain to you how mind-blowing this was back in the day. If you grew up round about then, in the 90s, and you saw this for yourself as a kid, you probably had the same jaw-dropping experience as I did, being like, wow, this is incredible. So that is why, for me, my pick has to be Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. And I'll tell you why. One, this game looks spectacular. This looks like a proper return to form for Lara Croft, which I feel a lot of us have been waiting quite a while for now. Now, I need to say I really enjoyed the Survivor trilogy, and I think the best one was the second one, which I think that was Rise of the Tomb Raider. But this looks like the real deal Lara Croft to me. She's an absolute strong, witty, charismatic badass that knows exactly what she's doing. She's beating up bad guys, fighting dinosaurs, shooting at bears and wild cats and stuff like that, raiding tombs. It looks fantastic. And it put a proper smile on my face. I thought, oh yes, here we go, Lara Croft is back, baby. Aside from looking absolutely stunning and being built on Unreal Engine 5, the footage in the trailer was all captured on a PS5 Pro, so we know it's going to be an absolutely stunning looking game on PlayStation. Lara's character is back to her witty best self with some great banter in here, which is so good to see because she was always a total badass when I was growing up. I feel that was lost in, the Survivor trilogy. Now this is coming from Crystal Dynamics, who did the last 3 Tomb Raider games, and they've done more than that obviously, and it's co-developed by Flying Wild Hog. It's a total return to Lara's roots. There's actually a really crazy looking collector's edition as well for this, which has a cool statue with Lara swinging through a giant dinosaur's mouth, which I'm seriously tempted to get because it looks really good, but I've no idea how much it'll cost, so let's hold off on that idea right now. We got this trailer though, showing segments from the iconic Peru Lost Valley and the return of some familiar faces from the older games. I was really surprised about the release date though. I was convinced this was going to launch in 2026 before GTA 6 arrives, but it's not. It's going to be February the 12th, 2027. February is going to be an incredibly busy time with a lot of games moving out to that window to avoid GTA. And I'm pretty sure Fable has just moved out there as well. However, I would far rather they, move a game out and get it fully baked before releasing it, instead of releasing something that's buggy or incomplete, which we see happen so often with developers nowadays, and it's just a practice I absolutely hate. I would far rather we got a full finished game on a physical disc that we can play day one without needing massive updates and giant day one patches. Fingers crossed we get the full game on the disc, unlike what happened with James Bond First Light, which was another game published by Amazon, where you literally had, you know, a day one patch to download before you could even access the game, which just sucks. If you don't have an internet connection, you've basically bought a nice plastic coaster instead of a game. But as a fan who has played these games across multiple generations, Tomb Raider has always been there, you know, from PS1, PS2 and the reboots that were on PS3 and PS4. I cannot wait to get stuck into Lara's new adventure. It's pure nostalgia, it looks incredible. She's got her iconic dual pistols are back, which is so freaking cool. Back flipping and, you know, acrobats all over the place, puzzles to solve. I cannot wait. I hope this is the renaissance of Tomb Raider Lara Croft. This is what people want, I think, and I hope they deliver on it. And it's easily my game of the show for those reasons. Let me know your absolute favourite pick from the showcase and why in the comments down below. But while these new PlayStation Studio titles look great, it brings up a massive question. Has PlayStation actually forgotten how to make certain types of games? Click this video right here to see if you agree with my take or if I'm completely off the mark.